Hello, and welcome to another Q&A series with the experts from Tribute as we discuss challenges in production management and capacity planning. Today, I'm joined by Bill Horrigan, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself to start off.
Thanks for having us, Mary. I really appreciate this. I'm looking forward to it. I've been with the company 35 and a half years with Tribute, and during my tenure, I've been in over 2,000 fluid power and hose distributors. So I've seen quite a bit, anywhere from 2 employees up to 450 employees. And the big buzzword today is production management, and so I'm looking forward to discussing it with you today.
So it seems safe to say that you know a lot about what you're talking about here. So why do you think companies struggle with production management?
Well, there's a lot of things. First of all, we don't have enough time today to go over all the reasons, but most of it is a cultural thing, and there's a lot of variables. The first one is these companies all started small, they've worked their way up in size, and they're struggling managing their shop floor resources. And also, the industry has changed. It's really evolved over the last 15 or 20 years. What we've seen is these mom and pop shops grow up starting off with distribution with just a little bit of value add. And then over time, with companies coming in like Motion Granger and Applied, these big box stores in our industry, they were really good at distribution. So to stay competitive, they need to do more value add. So what we're dealing with today is we're trying to figure out how to manage this value added, which is 70% of their business. Wow. And so they need some type of production management system to handle this. So it's been really interesting because, so what's happened is 95% of the companies out there do not do a good job at managing their shop floor. Wow. And it's just interesting. Just recently I checked, in the last 12 months, I've been in 96 distributors, and only 1 is doing a good job managing their production management. It's amazing. The rest of them, they're doing it either in Excel, they got whiteboards, they got clipboards, or they have printouts like they did in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. So it's a real issue right now that needs to be addressed. And I'm excited to talk about it because it's something that I get asked every single day when I go into a distributor now is, how am I going to manage my shop floor? How am I going to manage my resources and things like that? So it's an issue that we're handling, and so that's why we're here today to talk about it.
So obviously they know they need help. How do you help them to understand how that they can streamline their production?
It's difficult because these businesses, again, started small, right? Mm-hmm. And as they rapidly grow, they're not changing the way they manage their business. So over time, it's not scalable what they're doing. Right. And so their production management part of it is just non-existent at this point. So they need some tools to manage that. They need some visibility into their shop. They need to be able to manage, all the resources out there. And they don't know how to do that because this is all relatively new to them. Right. And even into the marketplace, we're just now beginning to see people say, hey, we need to address this because these are issues that are costing us money. They don't even know if they're making money on a lot of these jobs because they don't have an idea of time, money, and resources. So
there's obviously a lot of work to be done. But what are some of the benefits that they can realize just by jumping into this, in the initial phases?
Well, the big thing is the customer experience. So what allows your customer service people to do is that if you're quoting a job or you're getting a job, having the visibility into the shop, knowing the labor, the time, and the resources, they now can say, well, if you give us an order today, we'll have it delivered to you by this date because our shop's booked up right now because we have so many man hours or there's shortages of parts from the suppliers and things of that nature. So really what it comes down to is a capacity planning issue. So right now the customer service people have no idea unless they run out to the shop or pick up the phone and call somebody. But now they'll have the ability with a good production management system to have the visibility out there to say, oh, we're backed up for a couple of weeks. So, we need to get this thing on order right away because of the time and the resource issues that we have or the constraints we have in our shop. So,
and especially now with all the logistics and shipping problems, I'm sure that's huge.
Well, that's another big thing is expediting. It's funny, over the years, out of all those customers that are potential clients that I've been into, about 85% of them don't do any kind of expediting. And it's troublesome in my opinion because they need to start, expediting with these vendors to get more accurate dates on the delivery of the material so they can plug that into the system, and the system can say, okay, based on the material when it's going to arrive, this is as soon as we can get started this job or as soon as we can complete this job. So expediting is a big thing that it's going to kind of force them into doing, which most of them aren't doing it. The salespeople are doing it, the purchasing people, a combination of the two, and they don't do a really good job at it. So production management, again, kind of forces you to do a better job at expediting, and that overall improves the customer experience as well.
So it sounds like this is a no-brainer, but how complicated is it, and what do they need to expect from all that?
Well, the overall process is complicated because you're looking at a lot of variables, right? Even in a smaller shop, you have a lot of moving parts. And so what a good production management system would do for a distributor is it would give them visibility into the jobs on the floor, and it allows them to see which ones they can build, which ones they can't build. And then what it'll do, it should highlight the constraining components in there. If it's a labor issue, is it a material issue? So anybody should be able to go into the system at any point in time or look it up on a screen and say, okay, what's holding us back from getting this done? So it's a combination of things, and it allows you also to prioritize the jobs. If in a normal fashion, it'll be first come, first serve, for example, right? First one that calls, but it's not reality in our business. You've got good customers that you want to move something, it's a rush order, so you're going to be able to prioritize that. So if I've got 20 jobs on the floor, just think about the complexity of that when you've got all these moving parts. You're trying to figure out the resource issue from labor, the hours, then you've got the material coming in. So there's a lot of variables, and then all of a sudden if somebody comes in and says, this is our biggest customer, I need this tomorrow, then it's like you're shuffling the deck and saying, okay, we got to move this person down and move this. How does it affect all the resources? So it gets really crazy, and it's like a fire drill at these businesses because
Absolutely.
they have no way to manage it.
It sounds scary, but what you're saying sounds like it can be manageable. So tell us a little bit about how production management software can kind of help take all that scariness out of there.
Well, it really isn't scary, but I know it sounds like it because there's a lot of moving parts, as I had mentioned earlier. In the ideal world, where they want to be is they want to be able to walk out in their shop and look at a big 70-inch screen TV and see all their open jobs. They want to see the ones in green, those are the ones we can work on today. And then the ones in red, there's a constraint, and then the ones in yellow, it will highlight the constraining components in it. So visually, anybody in the company should be able to walk out to their shop or go to a computer screen and look and say, okay, here's where the constraint lies, here's what we need to do, how can we resolve that? Do we need to get on the phone with the vendor and expedite that part? But again, it's all about the visual aspect of it, really. That's what everybody's been asking for. We want to be able to walk out of the shop at any point in time and know where we stand, what we can build, what we can't build, what we can ship, what we can't ship, and if we can't, why, and this way we can resolve it.
So obviously it's a visual system, but how can it help enhance communication between all the different departments that are working together on a flow?
That's a good question, and I laugh because one of the interesting things is when you go into a distributor, industrial distributor in our marketplace, the sales, purchasing, and the warehouse people don't communicate very well. Matter of fact, they don't even like each other many times. So all they're doing is running back and forth, asking questions, and a lot of times don't even communicate very well. So it'll kind of streamline everything from the minute the order is entered by customer service, right? And then they'll have the ability, obviously going forward from a customer service standpoint, to be able to expedite orders as well. Like when somebody calls up, they'll be able to say, oh, your job's out there, there's only 14 more hours left, it's getting painted, then we'll be able to test it. So we should have this done in the next day or two. So it'll make a big difference from a customer service standpoint with the overall customer experience that they have. On the purchasing side, it'll allow them to do a better job at expediting, and so what'll happen is in a good ERP system, what it'll do is at nighttime, it should go through and actually send out an expedite report to all their suppliers of all the constraining items that are on that production management system. So it'll go out, it'll say, hey, I need you to give me an update on these items that are being constrained, that you said it would be here, they're not here, can I get an update? When they show up the next day, the purchasing people can come in, plug those dates in of when we should be expecting them based upon the information we just received from the vendor. By plugging that into a good production management system, that will light up the board like a Christmas tree and change everything. So it might have been red yesterday, but now it's going to turn green because it's going to show up this afternoon. So that integration is wonderful as well. And then the warehouse, this is a really neat feature as well. What ends up happening is when they go to receive that material, when it does show up this afternoon or tomorrow morning, a good production management system will do a couple things. What it'll do is it'll generate like a work order traveler, which says when it comes in, it'll print a document and it says, take it to this job. It's waiting for this material and you need to get working on it right away. It'll also, should actually notify somebody. So again, the system will notify by email saying, hey, the parts are, you can get started on this right now. It's a rush order. We've been waiting on it. So basically what it's done is or what it does is a good production management system. You don't have to talk as much because it's all automated now, so everybody plays nicer too. So it streamlines the whole process for everybody and it makes it more harmonized. Everybody's working together as a team at that point. So
eliminating emails and phone calls, that's like a dream come true. So what is the next steps if they want to implement an ERP system?
First, they need to pick up the phone and give me a call. That's really more important than anything. But all kidding aside, they need to find a strategic business partner that can come into their operation, kind of do a discovery and look at where the inefficiencies lie. Again, these companies start small, they grow fast, and there's a lot of inefficiencies throughout the business from start to finish. So they need to come in and document it, and then match that up against best practices. Companies like us have been doing this a long time, but we're in a niche industry. We know what that best practice model is. So matching those two together is key, and coming up with a plan would be next, and then obviously executing that plan. So you really can't use the production management system software until you re-engineer the business processes within your business, because you don't want to take those old bad habits and put them into a new piece of software, because you're not going to get any results. So if they are, they'll be minimal at best. So this is very strategic. This is probably the most important thing I would say about this whole discussion is really taking time, evaluate your operation, re-engineer it from the ground up, and at that point, then you can use those tools because they'll be a lot more effective at that point.
So having an outsider such as yourself come in and kind of guide them through the process and recognize where they need to fix things is obviously very helpful. So let's talk a little bit about the final values that an ERP system would have to a distributor.
There's obviously a lot. The big one is you're going to be able to reduce the lead time to the customer. So now if I called you up and said I want to buy 5 items from you, you'll have the ability to go in and say, listen, I can ship 2 of these things within the next couple of days, because you have, again, visualization of the resources. It'll also let you optimize your resources. Again, you're dealing with 3 major things, right? You got time, material, and then labor. You've got the people, but not all people can do all jobs. So then you got to break it down and look at the time, and then obviously the material. So there's a lot of variables in this. So if you look at it all together, the overall objective is to improve the customer experience, right? If I call and place an order with you, I want to know when I'm going to get it. So you want to set the expectations. The big thing in the industry is people do a very poor job at setting customer expectations. They say what they want. They're telling the customer what they want to hear, which is really not the best thing. So I think overall, I think number 1 is the visibility. Number 2 is optimization of resources. And number 3 is the customer experience. I think those are the big things you're going to get out of a good production management system. So.
Well, I think that's all we had today. So I want to thank you so much for educating us about production management and how distributors can really find really good, useful things to streamline their business. So thanks for being here today, Bill.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And visit distribute.com for more information. And visit fluidpowerworld.com for more videos and more videos from Tribute as well. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.